To Ibrox ahead of Rangers versus Olympiacos. It is Rangers' third pre-season game of pre-season, all three of which now have been at Ibrox. Apologies that we are slightly late. You'll have noticed from the previous stream being deleted, we had a couple of technical difficulties, but here we are to talk through the team as ever. The big talking points from it, what stands out ahead of tonight's game against Olympiacos. So the team lined out in front of you. I'll read through the subs as well in a second. This is a rough shape. I think they'll probably start in with Robbie McCrory in goals. Ross McCrory has played in goals for Rangers, but not tonight. Robbie McCrory's first start of pre-season, obviously, having ended the last campaign with 5 appearances in the role, very much understudy it looks like to Jack Butland this season, but with Butland having started at the weekend against Hamburg, it is McCrory who plays from the start tonight. In front of him is James Tavernier at right back with Borna Barisic at left back. Slightly surprised at that. Pre-season, you can't really get too much into it. It's all about sharing out the minutes equally. Rangers also have a game against Hoffenheim in Germany at the weekend. But Borna Barisic, he reclaims his left-back spot in place of Ridvan Yilmaz. I thought Ridvan was really good at the weekend. He was the main talking point for me. He's who I think should start the season going forward. Rangers don't have an abundance of options. I say that in defence that they do when Leon King comes back and Connor Goldson comes back, but at the moment it's not the area of the pitch that's most overstaffed. It is about making sure, I guess, that all players vying for all positions have as many minutes as possible. But Barisic starts tonight. You'd imagine that means that Ridvan starts at the weekend. And it's a middle centre-back pairing of John Souster and Ben Davies, which I think in place of Connor Goldson at the moment is very much the first choice centre-back partnership. The centre-half area is one that we've discussed a lot recently. In my opinion, it's still somewhere that Rangers maybe could do with strengthening one more player beyond Cifuentes and Danilo. That would take the summer business up to the total of 10. Maybe that's dependent on an outgoing in that area. Obviously, Leon Balogun's come in on a one-year deal. Leon King, his injury is not as bad as first feared. John Leafeco has impressed in pre-season. Michael Beale name-checked him, especially at the weekend, and Colin Goldson, who first pick, definitely going to be one of the starting centre-backs. He is working his way back to fitness, but that's your back four. In front of them, Nico Raskin plays. Raskin started his Rangers career kind of playing higher up the pitch, and he's gradually got a bit deeper again towards the end of last season. I think that Rangers are more fluid when he plays at the base of midfield because although at times they look good in a back three build-up, Raskin just gives you that incision, I think, his ability to carry the ball through the thirds or pass it, speeds up the play. He can really dominate off the ball as well, really dominate the midfield for Rangers, and he's flanked by Kieran Dowell and Todd Cantwell. So a similarly really offensive midfield three. I think one criticism that might be directed at Michael Beale, sometimes unfairly, because it's getting balance behind the ball is a really important factor. But people, I think, would like to see a midfield like that. Again, if you're thinking of Cifuentes and Cantwell and Dowell playing either side of Raskin, then that's certainly an attacking trio and an exciting trio. And it's telling that that's what Michael Beale's gone for in the last couple of games. And the front three ahead of them, Lammers, Sima and Dessers. I'm looking forward to seeing this because Sima, I think, is still to show. He's only a couple of pre-season games into pre-season, but I think he's going to play his best football when he's playing alongside a couple of players who are comfortable bringing the ball in, who are comfortable with their back to goal. I think that's where Sam Lammers thrives. If you looked at his substitute appearance from the weekend, he was very effective when he was coming deep and creating that overload. It is kind of a box midfield Rangers will play, but I think it's more of a diamond if you want to be pernickety about it. I think that the biggest thing is we're off ball shape. They've started with a 4-3-3 in the first two pre-season games before moving to that kind of 4-3-1-2 with Lammers in the number 10 spot, which has its benefits on and off the ball. Cyril Dessers, he came on to make his Rangers debut at the weekend, a chance to see him from the start. And as mentioned, Sima, who I don't think he is that back-to-goal player. If you look at a three like that, then Seaman's the one who is maybe going to be able to stretch play, get in behind a little bit more, but also attack the box and be your second number 9 in the box. I think his movement is something that what people will start to see in the final third. We've not really had a chance to see that yet because he's obviously come off the last two games and the end of the game is where Rangers have enjoyed most of their had most of their joy in the attack, but he plays up top as well. And I will just read you the bench, which is Butland, McLaughlin, Ridvan, Lundstrom, Hadji, Matondo, Fashion Jr., Yefeko, Rice and Lovelace. A few people noticing that there's no Roof and Jack in there. I'm sure that's something that will be raised in the press conference after. You'd imagine, just looking ahead to the game at the weekend, the fact that Roof, for example, played at the weekend, given where he's been with his injuries, and given even when he's not been injured, the fact that he wouldn't really play games in the row, I'm not surprised that he's not in there. But as mentioned, that's something that I'm sure will come up in the press conference after the game. Rangers at the weekend very much used, not quite to 45s, but they made 5 subs at the break, and by the time the full-time whistle blown, it was a totally different starting 11, and you'd imagine tonight that there will be a few changes, but you'd also imagine that the starting 11 might look a little bit different when they do travel to Germany on Saturday. Let's get through a few of the comments. John Park saying, hope Sima has his shooting boots on tonight. In the last game, he missed some decent chances. Yeah, he did. I think the one from the corner was the big one. Sima arrives as someone who I think has a pretty good reputation, signed by Brighton for a lot of money as a young player. I think he'll be an effective player for Rangers, particularly in Europe. He more predominantly plays that second number 9, more effective off the right side, and I thought you saw that for the chance that I think it was Dowell's chance when Raskin broke the lines from a goal kick. So interested to see him play from the start tonight, and interested to see him alongside Dessers and Lammers. He's not really played with that back-to-goal player, as mentioned so far. So I'm sure that that might, help him to show his best form, because although it's pre-season, you will want to get off to a good start. Dean Milne, they're saying Roof and Lawrence are being eased into the team like Hadji. I think that's probably fair. When Hadji came back from his injury, what was his first game was in February or something like that, and he didn't really start to play games for quite a few, maybe 2 months after that. So, Tom Lawrence, I don't think many people would have expected him to start tonight. I guess when you've come back from such a long injury, getting that first appearance is a real milestone. And as Beale said, at the weekend, he's still some way away from maybe making a difference in a big game, but in the small-sided games, he looks sharp. Just about building that up now towards the start of the season. Williams saying he's playing Barisic for crosses into the box for Sima and Dessers. Yeah, it's interesting to see what he does with Barisic tonight. Rangers at times, when they've just been playing that one sitting midfielder, although Dowell will help Bill play and Cantwell as well. You see one of Barisic and Tavernier at times just offering a little more defensive support when the ball's on the other side of the pitch. I think the common consensus would be that Ridvan is going to be Rangers' first choice left back this season. We've laid it out many times in the videos, but certainly in my opinion, I think if you look at the money paid for him, the options he gives you on the pitch, I think he's more of a Michael Beale style type of player. But Borna Barisic in from the start tonight. And again, Rangers have got these important Champions League qualifiers coming up just on the horizon, and having, I guess, backup is important. The minutes to be shared between that position, especially as Dujon Sterling continues his journey back from injury. Comment here saying it was hoping Rice was going to play from the start. Yeah, I don't think you're alone with that opinion. Charleston, I thought for a 16-year-old, again, in a friendly, but just looked so composed on the ball when he came on at the weekend. Gives Rangers something different, because I think he very naturally forms a back three and just changes the tempo of the play. He just feels like a proper footballer, I think, when Bailey Rice gets on the ball. As simple as that is to say, someone that isn't phased at all, always wants possession, and excited to see if he can make a bit more of a breakthrough this season, alongside John Yefeko, who I thought did well at the weekend as well. But it'll be interesting to see if Rice gets more minutes today. And a few comments as well about Alex Lowry, who I believe played for the B team today. Obviously, I guess a lot of interest in his future. It's a couple of years almost since he made that breakthrough into the first team. One thing you would say is it's a busy area of the pitch. If you're looking at Sam Lammers getting up to speed, and Cantwell also able to play in that position, Lawrence, Hadji, it's to look out for. It would alone be beneficial for his career, perhaps. I think what you would say is he needs to be playing matches, because it's definitely not a question of talent for him. But we'll leave it there until after the game. I'll be live with Johnny. You can watch the press conference here after the game. We'll have our instant reaction on the website. Keep up to date with us over on our social channels. Until then, enjoy the game wherever you're watching it. Thanks for joining me.